Greetings and salutations, Scribblers. Welcome to the third video in our series about reading signposts, as discussed in the book Notice and Note, Strategies for Close Reading by Kylene Beers and Robert Probst. This book, again, is very much designed for classroom reading and ELA teachers, but the reading signposts that they talk about are excellent for authors to be aware of as well. So, like I said, we're on our third signpost this week. We've chatted about words of the wiser again and again, and how being cognizant of them can really help to develop your theme or your character. So this week, we're looking at the signpost called memory moments. As a signpost, memory moments are breaks in the narrative where the character remembers something from their past. This can be a quick recall of just one line, or it might be a bigger flashback taking up a paragraph or two. It often indicates a shift in the character's perspective because we're also they're remembering a time when they felt or thought differently than they do in the present tense of the story. Sometimes they're really easy to spot because they start with a transitional phrase like my first memory of, or I remember when, which you're going to see a lot more commonly in, middle grade books because you're really signaling to that reader that this is something that's a change, it's a shift in the narrative, right? You still also see those in adult books, but sometimes not as much. It's a little bit more subtle. As readers, when we see this, when we start to notice this, we're like, wait, this is a memory. We know something important is being revealed about why the character is the way they are, an internal struggle that they might be going through. And it's just backstory that could also maybe reveal or foreshadow something that's going to happen later in the manuscript, right? A memory moment really helps to just reinforce the theme that you have in your book because it's all coming together into one thing. So from an author's perspective, memory moments are a fine line to walk. In my first drafts, I tend to delve way too deep into backstory on the page, and I have to go back and edit out so much. But in my initial draft, I personally need that backstory to understand my characters and the world. As I revise, I really have to pull back to only the most essential backstory elements, and I try to pare it down to just a line or two. And if I allow memory moments to grow, then it has to be for a really essential reason to the story, right? And my goal as the author is to take all that backstory I've now created and to just get it into the character and onto the page in the most organic way possible, and not having the character say, well, once when I was 3, this happened to me, and that's why I've always hated snow. That doesn't help. So you really want to try to be a little bit subtle with it when you can, and only use like an actual memory moment, an actual memory of something that they heard or said or did or experienced, sparingly, because it starts to lose its effect sometimes if you just go too gung-ho with it. If it doesn't have that essential purpose to the narrative, it might need to be cut, which hurts. And I know that because I have done so much of it in my manuscript. So I get it. I totally feel your pain right now. But all that backstory that you've developed, don't throw it away. Don't delete it because you could use it in newsletters or blog posts, when you're doing an interview with somebody about the behind the scene moments in your books. All those different things. So you can still use it as far as like marketing material. It's just not necessarily something that's going to end up on page in your finalized published manuscript, right? And you need to apply that same question that the reader asks when they encounter a memory moment in the book they're reading. And you're going to ask again, why is this memory important? If you can't pinpoint why it's essential to the story and plot in that specific moment, then you probably need to cut it. And again, I say probably because there are infinite possibilities out there and there is no one true tried method of anything, right? You all have to experiment and do this on your own. So for the memory moments that you keep in your novel, do make sure that they are immediately relevant to the story. What does it reveal about the character or their conflict? And like I said before, memory moments, like every other element, should be used with intention. If you overuse them, it's going to start to lose its impact on the reader and they're not going to have the effect that you want them to. So now you have words of the wiser again and again and memory moments in your writing toolbox. Keep an eye out for those elements in your stories as you write and start looking for them in the books you're reading too. And then think about, how is this triggering my reader brain and making me more involved in the story, because that's your goal. You want that emotional engagement from the reader. And by thinking about these signposts as an author, you can pull that reader in more and get them more invested into what's going on the page. Please also remember these reading signposts are from the book Notice and Note by Kylene Beers and Robert Probst. Highly recommend that you read it as a craft adjacent book. If you want to add it to your TBR, please do so. It is fantastic. And please tell us about your favorite examples of memory moments from a novel or from your own writing. And if you are in need of a developmental edit for your novel, check out the links below for the Scribblers Den in the description. We'd love to help you on your writing journey. So also, I'm going to say it. Don't forget to like and subscribe, because all of that helps us to reach a larger audience and reach more writers, and just share all this great advice. And we'd really, really love that. With that being said, we'll see you next time, and happy writing, Scribblers.